welcome to The Good Interview. I am your host, Colin Birch, and today we are so grateful to be able to host today's conversation with Mr. Barry Hilton, comedian extraordinaire, at the Lord Charles Hotel here in Somerset West. So Barry, how are you doing today?
I'll be great when you give me the money that you promised.
I'm
doing
okay,
great.
okay.
I'm doing really
We'll get
cool.
there, we'll get there.
I'm really cool. It's like we live just down the road, so my wife and I just came here. It's very quick. So we're lucky to stay here in Somerset West. So, yeah, lekker. We do well.
It's a beautiful area, isn't it?
I think so. It's very, very nice.
Yeah. So, what is it that initially sparked your interest in comedy, right? What was there a specific moment in your life that you just it just hit you and you're like, this is what I want to do?
It was more of a build-up. You know, my parents, we lived in the UK for a while. My dad was British, my mum was South African. And they used to put on these programs, you know. And then there was programs there, and there was people on, like comedians and things like that. And I could imitate them when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I could imitate them. But my father always used to tell me, shut up.
Shit.
And then I would be funny in class, and I'd be funny there, but also again the teachers would say, stop it.
Yeah, the class clowns
Shut
never
up.
appreciated.
Shut up. Came back to South Africa. Went to school, met a really good, cool guy, Paul Duncan. We've been friends ever since.
Oh, that's amazing.
Since 1969, and he was like commissioned to look after me, to ease me into the school and all that stuff. And I used to make him laugh, and we used to laugh about stuff together and all that stuff. And he and a lot of the other guys, my friends, used to say to me, you know, Dad, Barry, one day, you know. And I remember my very best friends, a guy called Peter Field. He stayed with his mum and his dad and his granny and grandpa in Pinelands. And his granny was the one that actually always said to me, you know, Barry, you are so naturally funny, you're going to be on stage one day. But I never got any thought, you know. And as I was growing up, I realized that I could communicate with people above my level through humor. It wasn't on purpose. I used to, only afterwards I think, oh wow. Because somebody would try and speak to one of the fathers or whatever, one of the girls' fathers and things like that, and then they would get zero. But I would go and speak to the mother, and the mother would absolutely love me. It was like fun and laugh and have a jolt and all that. And then I tried to get on stage, but my father was a very stick-in-the-mud guy, a very sort of tradesman type guy, and I miss him dearly, but he was misguided, and he insisted that I did a trade, which was terrible for me. It was just the worst thing in the whole world. I met this lovely girl, Janice. She was really fantastic. We got married, but unfortunately my head wasn't in the game, you know. She was content with me being an electrician, and I wasn't. I hated it. I used to play soccer, and we actually sadly got divorced. It was stupid, but it's the way it is, you know.
It happens.
I know, and I missed out on my daughter growing up, Tracy. I missed very much. But I still see her occasionally. So when I moved across there, I was playing soccer, and I realized that just before we got divorced, even I was playing soccer, and I would be funny in the change rooms. And the Oaks would love it. I'd be telling jokes. And so as time went on, I used to go watch comedians. And I went and I spent 3 years. When I was 23, I got divorced when I was 23. Very young, eh?
Yeah.
But I spent 3 years in Cape Town, banging on doors, saying, please help me, please. And it's funny how people are very closed. They don't want to share with knowledge, which I think is quite sad. Because
Why do you think that is?
Insecurity. Because if somebody asks me, okay, can I come and stand up? I say, yeah. But here's the rules. And a guy called Johnny Noble, I bumped into this guy called Johnny Noble, who was a big comic in South Africa at the time. And I asked him, and I said, please help me. He said, okay. Dad, there's a competition going on there, and there's another guy there, go see it. And I went, and it was a competition in the London Town pub. It was called in Cape Town. It was London Town pub. There was a band there called Copperfield. They were great. Peter Taylor was the singer. And they had these, it was a talent competition. So I entered the first heat, you know.
Oh, so that was your first time on stage,
Basically.
properly? Yeah.
No, I'd been up and down, trying, you know. So I entered the first heat, and I won it by a mile. I just, hands down, won it. And I remember it was out of 5 categories, and one of the categories was the singing voice, because it was a talent.
Yeah.
So I sort of got 79 possible points out of 100, because the 20 points in singing, I didn't sing. And then he actually said to me, Peter Taylor, listen, dude,
Yeah.
you need to just come back for the final. He said, you're gonna kill everybody here. I said, okay, so thank you. I was nervous as I got up, and I eventually came second to a brilliant artist,
Okay.
Wendy Elfield. Wendy Elfield, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. She's a fantastic
Wow,
singer.
okay, yeah.
She was fantastic. And then that's how it started, and I did very, very well. And then I carried on pursuing, knocking on doors, and nobody would help me. And eventually, as I said, Johnny Noble got me a gig. He said, go get this gig. And I said, I can't. Nobody will give me a job. He said, phone this, tell it. I said so. So I got the gig, and I'll never forget this. I went and I did this gig, and I was horrible, because I was doing locker room jokes
I
for
see.
the boys.
That's what you were used to.
Yeah, that's what I was used to. So I remember going to Johnny and his wife afterwards and saying, and they said to me, wow, that was rubbish. I went, oh, sorry to trouble you. Does it mean I can't crack it? And he said, to the contrary, Paul, to the contrary, you are flippant, natural, you're gifted, and all you need is experience. And I said, well, how am I going to get experience? He said, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
And that's how it started, Johnny. So he was the guy that was instrumental.
Johnny Noble was your man.
Yeah. Also, Fernando Lamy helped me once or twice, but Johnny Noble was my man. He was the guy that would, because he was so famous at the time, he would go to a club and say, you must take this guy. And they would take him because of that, just because he said, take me. You know what I'm saying? And then he helped me build up my expertise, and then it just started from there. But hard work, man, hard work, and heaps of disappointments, almost on a daily basis. You crap, man, you're rubbish.
How long did it take before you think you were able to actually make?
Well, after I met
substantial?
Johnny, 3 months.
Wow.
And then he actually said to me, are you up for this? I said, yeah. He said, you need to resign from your job. And I went like, oh.
Who? Yeah, it's a scary step.
Okay. So he said, look, that's the cost of. I said, okay, so I resigned. Much to the disdain of my employers. They were mad about me because it was a long story. So then I resigned, and he got me a job it was the Lily's Bar in Port Elizabeth, 1983.
Okay.
That's when I turned pro. I was 26. I was scared. You have got no idea. And to this day, I still have the same feeling, even before this.
Yeah.
Now, it feels like I want to throw up. I get this look. And I always said, when that doesn't happen anymore, then I'm out. Okay.
It makes
so
sense.
I started off in Lily's Bar, and I absolutely smashed it. Because I'd been practicing jokes since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I was 26. I could do 4 hours.
You had a whole
non-stop.
lifetime's worth of experience there.
Yeah, so
already.
bang, 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 bang. And all my stuff seemed to be fresh, because it was, I think, not so much the jokes, it was my delivery was a natural delivery. And then from there, I got a gig in Joburg with a guy called Brian Mulder. He was in charge of all of the entertainment for the Holiday Inns.
Oh, okay.
And he put me to Joburg, and then he put me in touch with this massive agent in Joburg at the time from the Don Hughes organization, Josie Brody. And she was like this hectic Everybody in the business was scared of her. And she came to my club one day when I was working. I'll never forget it. I was on stage and she walked in. It was a Friday evening in Joburg, the centre of Joburg. She walked in, spoke to some of the guys there, had a quick drink of something and walked out. And I thought, I'm dead.
Yeah.
So the Monday morning she phones me up, come to my office now. Yo.
Now.
But like now. I want
Yeah,
to come to
yeah.
my office now. I went to her office and she said to me, listen, there's a South African production in the Wild Coast Sun. You're going there for 3 weeks. So, okay. And I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even know there was a stage door. I didn't know there was a stage entrance. I walked through the audience. I didn't even know. And I went there, I smashed it, and I stayed there for the rest of the run. And then from there, then she put me into bigger clubs. And then and I went to Sun City. And I was in the extravaganza for 8 months. And then I had to go take a step backwards, and they put me into clubs. There was like strip clubs, basically.
Oh, wow, okay.
But that was the deal in those days. Guys would meet each other and talk business and they would listen to a comedian. So she put me into this place called the Runway Bar in Joburg. Yes. If you survived the Runway Bar, then you were okay. Because they only used to bring in British comedians.
Tough competition.
Well, because the British comedians could handle the rowdiness. And I ended up working there eventually on and off every 3 months, like for 4 years, alongside another guy, a British guy called Tony the King. You should actually interview him one day. He's
Tony
a
the
great
King.
guy.
All right.
And we were sort of like enemies almost, but we weren't, you know what I'm saying? But we're big mates now. He's a great guy. And that's the battles I found. Then I went to the UK for a while. My wife then she just wasn't interested in helping me whatsoever. Everything was just about mommy and daddy, and that's it.
Oh no.
So eventually, and I did well, and I eventually opened up for Billy Connolly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I had to leave because she got me in so much debt and all this crap. But anyway, I came back, and basically the rest is history, you know.
Yeah,
Just work. And one day, you've heard of Joe Parker, have you?
The name
Trust
does
me,
sound
Joe
familiar.
Parker was
yeah.
like a god in the field. He wasn't part of the run-of-the-mill corporate guys. He was a guy that used to work in pubs and do a 3-hour set. You know,
That's
split
impressive.
up.
Yeah.
So I became I hated him. Honestly, I hated Joe Parker for no other reason than he was huge. Okay.
Yeah. You wanted to be there.
I was so, what else is I doing in my place? But that was my drive, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, we started working together because we were now compadres, if you will, you know? And then he said to me, Baz, you've got to get out of doing this strip show shit because you need to go on your own. I said, how? He says, book a club, go by yourself, go. That was Joe Parker's. And I went to this club. Basil O'Hagan's, it was in Bompas Road. I forget the area, near Lovo in Joburg. First night, 6 people. Second Sunday I went there. I think I got 15 people. Third Sunday I got 4. And the guy said to me, listen, it's not happening, but you're not good enough. He said, but I'm going to give you 1 more week. I said, okay. I went back on the 4th week, but could not move in there because the name had got out. You know?
Oh, nice.
So that's really
Absolutely packed.
and
yeah.
then just hard slog.
So how often or how long were your sets back then? And not only that, how often were you performing like during the week?
During the week I was still sometimes doing the Runway Bar. That was like 5 shows, 5 days a week, 2 shows a day, lunchtime cocktails.
Wow, yeah.
And I was just I would bring on the strippers and all that stuff, and that was fun. And I want to tell you, you know, contrary to popular belief, the majority of the strippers were just great girls. They were brilliant. They were just stuck in shitty
Yeah. It
circumstances.
is often the
And
case.
I'm still friends with a heap of them after all these years.
How's your wife feel about that?
No, she's cool. It's a professional friendship. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I'm
So
joking. Yeah.
then when I worked on my own, I had to do 3 45-minute sets. So I sprinkled it with music. I was rubbish. I could play about 6 songs and that was it. But then I was able to swap and change and do things like that.
Keep
And
the audience entertained.
What made me famous, I think, when I ran out of jokes at the Runway Bar, because it was a meeting place for all of the guys in logistics by the airport. So they would come to the bar and talk business. So there was like 50 or 60 of these guys who used to come there every day.
Wow.
You know, I would say about 20 of them were regular every day. So one day I'd run out of gags. I was thinking, shit, what am I going to say now? Because they were like critical, because they were used to British guys.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And I just said one day, I said, bugger it. Give me a subject, I'll tell you a joke about it. And somebody shouted out, the Queen. And I said to him, the Queen is not a subject. So boom.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's
yeah,
how it
yeah.
started. And they actually became my backbone, because they then realized the work I was putting in, and they stayed in the background, but they supported me. When the crowds were thin, they laughed for me. You
That's
know?
sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember one day there was a drunk oak threw a bottle at me.
Oh, okay.
And before I knew it, most of these guys, they were on him. They were just like, so it was almost like, don't you dare.
Yeah. It's my
touch
boy.
Baz. It's our boy, you know. So yeah, and then it just went, it grew from there. Hard work, bro. Hard work.
I can only imagine. So let's talk a bit more about the stage fright, right? You mentioned the stage fright. You
Still
mentioned
today.
earlier, even today, that you still experience it, and you specifically the comment I want to highlight is that if you don't feel that anymore, you don't want to do
Absolutely.
it. So could you elaborate a bit more?
Yes,
on
I was so scared when I used to do television and things like that. I was a nervous wreck. And I used to go like a train to get through my thing, because I'd be hyperventilating, and it was stupid, because if I'd have been able to, somebody said to me, just chill out, bro. You've got what it takes, just chill out. So that stuck with me forever, that every time I go on, am I going to crack at this one? Am I going to do it? Am I going to do that? So you still get straight sides. I think it keeps you on your toes, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of like waves of comedians came through. And then of course I was now the odd one out. The guys from Biltong and Potros were the odd one out for me then. And I became the odd one out when all these new comics came through.
Yeah.
And I got attacked, man. And that was the best thing that happened to me. And once again, some of these comics that were there, they realized, hold on.
Yeah.
And I realized, hold on, you know, and we became friends and comrades, if you will. So that happened 3 times, 3 different sets of new comedians coming through. Who the hell is this act? We'll show him what to do. But then I think it's my personal drive. I just upped the game.
Yeah.
And I stayed with him. And I'm still going 40 years, and I'm still
No, it's
doing
really
this
impressive.
interview.
Yeah.
42 years, in fact.
That's really well done on that. But would you have any advice for anybody who
Yes.
does struggle with stage fright? What would you say to them?
Work through it.
Feel the fear, do it anyway.
Yes, exactly like that. Because if you once, is it you conquer the fear? No, you know, I never conquered that fear. But you know that it's something that you have to, it's a hurdle that you have to go out.
Learn to deal with it.
A person asked me one day, what's it like turning professional? And I remember words from Johnny Noble said to me, when I asked him that same thing, what's it like when you're a pro? He said, well, first of all, if I take you to somewhere and you're blindfolded and you can feel you're on a ledge, do you know what I'm saying? You can feel, and you don't know if it's an inch, a centimeter, or eternity. And I say to you, take one step forward.
Yeah.
If you hesitate, so basically Johnny said to me, we're going to do this and this and this. You're going to do it. Okay.
You're going to do it, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
And so that's the fear. So the new oaks that are coming through, that's what it's like for the people out there. Like, you're taking one step forward. It's not like you're with a band or you're a singer, you're a backup singer or whatever. You're a comic.
Yeah,
And
you're
you
alone
are
on
sort
that
of
stage,
there,
yeah.
bro, on the stage. It's heavy.
I can only imagine, man. And so, I also wanted to ask, right? You've spoken a lot also about, or you've been very open about your own journey with things like your ADHD,
Yeah,
your
massive.
dyslexia, your depression, and that.
Well, we worked it out yesterday. When did I go to that? When I had that breakdown? 2018. How's that, eh? It's so far away ago. I had a breakdown, complete breakdown. I was sitting with Sandy in a restaurant and everything had just got on top of me. Worried about the future and X, Y, and Z. We just had a little boy. How old was Jack? He was 6. He was 8. I got into a heap of trouble through a very bad accountant. Yeah, and we owed a lot of money. We owed a lot of money, and my fear was I've worked so hard. I've gone through this divorce. I've got this. I've gone through 2 divorces. It's this, my kids, and now I'm faced with this. It's like I was at the
What
bottom
am I gonna
of
do?
the
Yeah.
pile, the bottom of the pile. And I remember screaming at Sandy in a restaurant, and she said, "Stop. We're going to the doctor now." And that evening I was in a clinic.
Wow.
So, but in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, besides meeting Sandy.
Can't forget that one, yeah.
No, we can't. The beauty, I had custody of my children when I met Sandy, my kids that were young enough to stay at home. And Sandy came into our life, and they were wild, Robin and Tyler. They were just, because I didn't know what to do, because I'd been on the road. You know what I'm saying? I missed the other kids, and I just work. Because people don't realize how tough it is on the road. And then Sandy came in and sort of settled the ship a bit. And then my kids grew to love her very much. And then that's when we got married, and then we decided to make a children. And then we got young Jack. So that was pressure. Even though I didn't say to Sandy, but it was a massive amount of pressure on me. My God, I'm 53 and I've made a child. So yes, that day, I'm going to be this age when he grows up. So that was pressure. But I went through, and then we got a new accountant, and he was cool, and he was saying to me, "Dude, this is what you're in for. You have the earning capacity, so don't worry." And I used to say to him, "It's easy for you to talk. I got to do it." So it was tough. It's been tough. It's been tough. And then we got out of it, and Sandy being the best she is, we got out of it. We readjusted our lives. And then COVID hit. So, boom.
Yeah, then into that.
And we basically had about 2 or 3 jobs in 2 years.
Yeah.
It was hectic. And what did we do? We just carried on and on and on. And it was
you
like,
did what you could.
hectic. And by that time, Sandy had become, if you will, my manager, because we'd had a child. And it's like a showbiz marriage. You have to have both of the couples that understand, both of the people that understand what it's like.
Like Ozzy and Sharon.
Yes. Because, for instance, our one boy, it's our Sandy's boy, one of our boys. She's obviously the stepmother. We actually joke. I always say it's the WSM, the wicked stepmother, and then they laugh about it. But he was having a seriously hard time with a girl that was beautiful girl, inside beautiful, everything, but she could not grasp the lifestyle of it, of being in the game. And she would often say to my boy, "Why don't you just give up this rubbish and get a job and work from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday?" And he would say to her, "No, I can't do that. You know, that's just who I am. It's how I'm built.
Yeah.
Now he's massive, bro. He goes all over the world. Monster. Him and his bigger brother. They go all over the world. But you know what the best is for me? They love, especially the two younger ones, Robin and Tyler. They absolutely love Jack, our baby, together.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and they forever pulling him up or whatever. He say, if they say something wrong to if he says something wrong to Sandy, they'll go like, "Hey, you don't do this, don't do that, don't do this." And I think it's special for me that when they're in trouble, obviously they've got a mother, she lives overseas, but whatever. But I know when they're in trouble for anything, Sandy's on speed dial, which is massive for us. So that's what steadied our ship.
It is a beautiful thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, you know. Unfortunately, I'm still wild. I can't. That's who I am.
It's in your nature, yeah.
That's. I take risks and I'm stupid, but it's who I am. You know, if I wasn't, yeah.
Well,
I was going to this gig yesterday. I was actually going to this Professional Speakers Association of South Africa yesterday. They were doing a presentation on how to use your expertise to make mini courses and then sell those mini courses online. So out of the blue, I'm driving there, and I just phoned Sandy out of the blue, in the car, and I said, I just want to tell you, I'm still working because I have the drive to work. I'm not working because I have to, because we can make a plan without it. But I said to Sandy, so understand when I get edgy when I'm not working. It's the way it's who I am. And now I'm going into this inspirational talking and things like that. It's like a whole new world that's opened up for me, which is great. And once again, I've got Sandy and my children behind me every step of the way. So it's like,
it's a great foundation to have.
I think so.
No doubt. So comedy offers a unique lens on the world, right? And I wanted to ask from your side, how do you see the effect of laughter helping us cope with our daily lives and our struggles? How have you seen it happen during your performances or thereafter, for example?
The first time it ever happened to me, I was at the Runway Bar still. And a guy came to me after my show, particularly really good show it was, and said to me, "Thank you." I went, "For what, dude?"
Yeah.
He said, "You know what? My wife is divorcing me. I found out that I don't know what it was, the one child was on drugs. The other child had come out of the closet or whatever, and the marriage was falling apart. He'd lost his job, and he thought, I'm going to go watch." He said to me, "I'm going to come watch you, have a few beers. I'm going to go into the car park and kill myself."
Wow.
That was his
That's
thing.
tragic, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But so I said, "Well, you're still here." He said, "Exactly. You've given me a reason to have a good laugh." And I went, "No, thank you."
Wow.
And funny enough, it's happened many times without me knowing. You know, Sandy will get a message yesterday, "Barry, he made us laugh. Our troubles were terrible and this and that and X, Y, Z, but Barry seemed to think," even though I was suffering at that time. I was really having a hard time emotionally, but still, it just shows you the power of humor, how humor can actually transcend anything. And funny enough, my talk that I do now, it's called My Life in 3D.
Cool.
It's about handling depression, dyslexia, and DDHA, which of course is,
Of course, yes.
and how I've used humor to get through those terrible things, because everybody has a bunch of memories of things that have happened to them, and I would imagine more than half of them, or half at least, are shitty.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. How do I look through this and go forward? That's because that's my drive, to move forward. I'm quite lazy actually, but it's not like no, but it's I can think on my feet, and when I'm under pressure, then I'm the most inspirational and all that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff, bad things have happened to me. One of the things I talk about in my talk, I talk about my butt who had cancer and subsequently died, and it was terrible.
My condolences.
No,
How long
happened.
ago was that?
Oh, a long time. My dad died. Here's a story about my dad. My mum passed away, and my dad basically gave up after 4 years. And my dad was a tradesman. So it turns out, Alan phones me up. I was in Joburg. Dad's in hospital. So I wasn't working that night. So I caught the plane. Went straight to the hospital. And there's my dad in the bed. He's 75 or something, like 74. 28th of July, 1992. Wow. So he's got all this stuff around him, and he said to us, guys, I've clocked in this morning, and I'm going to clock out tonight. It's my last shift, and I'm going to go see your mum. And we're like, come on, Dad. He said, no,
really?
I'm telling you, it's my last shift. I'm out. So my butt said to him, well, and how are you going to sleep tonight, Dad? And my father said, like this. True.
Yeah.
And 3 o'clock the next morning, he died.
Wow.
So my father knew he was going to die. He knew it. He'd had a great life. He said to us, I've had a good life. I've had some downs. I know I've fought with you, Barry, and I've done this and this, but we all love each other. Yeah. He said, I've had a great life, so it's cool. I'm going to go see your mum. That's how we spoke.
Yeah.
And then, so when I think about my dad, because all blokes with parents have ups and downs, big time.
No doubt.
And I had more downs than ups, I think, with my dad, but it was just the way he was. He wanted the best for us, but he couldn't express himself.
Yeah.
So when I think of my dad, I don't think of him, us having an argument and things like that. I think of this.
Yeah.
It's got to make you laugh. If that doesn't make you laugh, then you haven't got a soul. I can tell you that now. Because it's not. And then people often say, how can you laugh at such tragic things? And my answer is always, well, what other choice have you got? Now, I've been in places that I contemplated suicide quite a few times because of just things weren't going my way. It was an obstacle. Every time I tried something, bang, 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 bang. And that's when I learned, and that's when I started doing my talk, actually. And I realized there is funny in everything.
Yeah.
As bad as it comes. Look at, if you take Jimmy Carr.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Perfect example of that. Yeah.
He has got the darkest humor.
No doubt.
But I wasn't a big fan of Jimmy Carr. But when I see Jimmy Carr now in interviews and chatting and things like that, you think to yourself, wow, this guy is actually a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's got kids and he cares about his kids, and he doesn't just lavish his kids with everything. He's a focused guy. But his persona on stage is, you probably find that he's got so much crap in his life that he chooses dark humor.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got to have respect for that. And as a comic, I respect Ricky Gervais, man.
Oh, yeah.
He singularly, that's what we want to call it, destroyed woke culture. I'm telling you. He was the only guy to get up and say, this is bullshit. And then everybody followed him, which is great because people were too scared about saying anything. So now that's dark, but that's really bad. Like he says, I'm an old-fashioned guy, but I like women, but I like older women, the ones with wombs. That's where it's from. And I'm thinking, wow, that is brilliant, because you know how brave that is? Because it was in the midst of the cancel culture. But basically now a lot of comics, including myself, I will say, dude, I don't offend anybody. I mean, really, there's probably 0.1% of the people that come to my show that might get offended.
Yeah.
But I don't care because 99 point da 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 are loving it. So, so
Would you also agree that
I don't know yet. You haven't asked me the question.
Yeah, that one of the beautiful things about comedy, right, is you said, right, to find the ability to laugh at certain situations, and sometimes at yourself, right.
Absolutely.
It helps to how can I say, break you out of that kind of narrative and that shell that you've been in for a while. You know, it allows you to not take yourself as seriously, perhaps.
Well, a little bit. You have to be serious, but you have to realize, shit happens, man. Do you know it?
Yeah.
So you can either accept it or not.
All right, Barry. So having been in the industry now for about 42 years, you say? Yes, that's an incredible amount of time. And I wanted to find out, how did you used to define success, and how would you say
Money.
that's changed? Has it changed?
Yes, massive. Success was being swamped by people and fancy cars and flying in private jets and so I don't know. I was doing very, very, very well, and a lot of things happened, but in the weirdest way, they happened for a reason. You know, there's all things happen for a reason. And when we had COVID, and I realized how lucky I am that even with the world didn't know what was going on, but people would still see me with a mask and all that stuff and laugh without anything. They just laugh and I'd say, "What's going on?" "You make me happy."
You make me happy. Oh.
So wow. So that's, to me, that is like, you can't buy that, man, for a million zillion. Imagine being at the level that is, you are so big that you can't actually go out and walk down the road by yourself.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
However, I think a lot of celebrities here and everywhere in the world want that. Because you'll get a guy like Keanu Reeves who catches the subway, bro.
Just a regular guy, yeah.
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 Jack Black.
I love Jack Black.
He's
yeah,
got
yeah,
no
yeah.
bodyguards. He's got Adam Sandler does his own thing. I was watching a thing yesterday about Gary Lineker. You know Gary Lineker?
Yeah.
Okay. Gary Lineker, he does a lot of work in London. So he lives outside of London somewhere. He's a very wealthy guy, very well-known guy, brilliant football player. He catches the tube. He hasn't got 100 people around him.
Yeah, yeah.
So why do these oaks need the flipping? I don't understand that.
An ego thing, perhaps.
Yeah, but it's saying, but I mean, imagine saying, like Sandy says to me, "Baz, you've got a meeting. Hold on a second. I've got to phone your press secretary. We've got to get your stylist. We've got to get this. We've got to get that. We've got to get this. Then we've got to make sure that there's people there, and they've got to be fans." Oh no, man, that's not living.
Nah, it's rather pretentious, actually.
Do you know what living is?
Tell me, Barry.
When
what
your
is living?
kids tell you, "I love you, Dad."
No,
That's living. "I love you, Dad."
that is
You're not
incredibly
perfect,
sweet.
but I love you, Dad.
Yes.
And when your wife every morning says, "Get out and make me sit." No, when your wife every morning says, "I love you, Baz," and I say, "I love you too." So that's success, bro.
Yeah.
We live in a nice house. We don't live in a mansion. We drive fairly decent cars.
Yeah.
We don't have to have these flashy cars. Our boy goes to a nice school. We live okay. And that is more important than all the money in the world. Because if we'd have had a house in California, we might have been invited to a P. Diddy party. You know what I'm saying?
Oh Lord, let's not go into that one. Yeah.
There's a big shit with that, eh? Excuse the pun. Go.
Yeah. All right. Right. So, if you had some advice for your younger self, if you had to sit down with your younger self, right? If you had any wisdom to share with him, what would you say?
think twice.
Twice. Okay.
Don't just
Then rush
think
into it.
twice. And understand sometimes it's brilliant to go backwards to go forwards. And if I may interrupt that again there, I've gone backwards in my career as a comedian to go forward in a new venture as a inspirational speaker. So yeah.
All right.
And stop thinking about the money, because the money is the biggest evil you can possibly get. Everybody needs money. Everybody needs money.
It's the world we live in, yeah.
If that's what if that is your drive to be famous and make money without really putting anything back, then you're in a sad place. I think.
Yeah. Then it just ends up in a sense, you're, in a weird way, you're consuming more than you are producing.
Absolutely.
In a sense, right?
I have a jaw, man.
That's good. It's good, even in your old age.
Yeah.
Old age,
No, it's
I say.
fine. I was supposed to retire, but like I said, I phoned Sandy last night and said I can't. I can't.
Yeah.
Not because it's money or everything like that. We could retire, we could live okay, but I can't retire. I'd go nuts. No, look at Clint
You need
Eastwood.
something
The
to
oak's
do.
93 years old. He's still directing movies. Are you serious?
Yeah, if it's what
Brilliant.
you want to do. If it's what
And
you
he's
need to
brilliant.
do,
And
yeah.
it's not an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
He's
no
brilliant.
doubt. So let me ask you about your next step in your journey about
Usually for the
motivational
left foot
speaking.
first.
Yeah, of course. There's the foot speak too.
Yes.
It's awesome. Glad
But
to hear
keep
it.
on your toes.
But yeah, how did that come about? And
What,
the motivational speaking now?
Because when I was in the clinic, I'd been thinking about it for many years, but I've been trying to find the catalysts to do it. And basically started off when I was in the clinic, sort of try and do this, try and do that, try and do this, try and do that. And then somebody actually said to me, why don't you just write a story about your life, your ups and downs, and make it funny? And I said, well, like a book? He said, no. And I went, like, what a great idea. Because I can still address people. I can still make people laugh. And at the same time, I can drop some truth bombs about mental health, bro. So it's a new career path for me.
Yeah.
But I can still be a comic. Please do me a favor. But this, I think I'm giving more by helping people. Make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And also it's lacquer, you know. It's nice. I'm enjoying it.
I also think that it's a great idea, specifically because a lot of the time, again, yes, mental health is a serious topic, but just because it's serious doesn't mean it has to be bland.
Yes.
Right.
And it's also like writing a book without actually writing. I'm telling people my story. And mental health, but we actually personally know a guy who actually flew back from the UK for some obscure reason, went to the mountains there by Nelspruit or whatever, and shot himself.
Wow.
So, fly all that way,
All the way
drive all that way.
there. Yeah.
He must have been in a lot of pain, and emotional pain, and
Yeah.
feeling sad. I feel so sad because he was such a lacquer guy, and we didn't even know. The beautiful thing about if you understand mental health, A, you're not alone, and B, it's not a contagious disease.
Yeah.
It's a very treatable disease. And C, you should never, ever, ever keep it to yourself, because there is no shame in saying to somebody, dude,
Yeah.
I'm on the edge, I need your help.
Yeah. That's true.
I
That's true.
think so.
Because it's not like.
I'm getting smiles from my wife. It's like the,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
one of the,
But it makes sense, right? I don't know what it is about. Perhaps it's something to do with the culture, maybe. But why is it that what is it you think that we don't tend to open up as much as we should?
what's it, to be a man.
Oh yeah.
Man!
Men keep it.
Sandy will tell you that the New Zealand teenagers have the highest suicide rate in the world, and it's basically comes from the Maori culture. Shut up. You're a man. Men don't cry.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah. Right. No, it's. I don't understand that, man. I've been fortunate enough to grow up in a household where although I would say my father has been a bit laconic, also he's not the most expressive, but I mean he's given me all the space in the world to express myself, which has meant the world to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me. I'm not bored. I'm just sort of.
It's all good. It's all good. Barry, looking back, right, at some of the moments you are most proud of, what would you say that could you delve into that?
Yeah.
Which moments are you most proud of, and why? Why do you feel that is the case?
Having the courage to start. That was one of my proudest moments.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult. Coming back from serious crap, ugly divorce, I made it. Okay? But on a career, I filled the Sydney Opera House. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And a lot of people say, yeah, but there's a lot of South Africans. Dude,
Yeah, you
can't
try
just
and fill the
go
Sydney Opera
and
House.
say, knock on the door of the Sydney Opera House and say, how's it? I want to come. No,
No.
doesn't happen. We got invited there and we did it. So I've done it. And just my proudest moments, the fact that I got a beautiful wife now,
No.
and 6 stunning kids. 7 actually, because
7, right?
that's a proud moment for us, because my one boy, and he's my boy now, everybody calls him TJ, he phoned us up one day, he's my nephew, and said to me, Uncle Baz, can I please change my name to Hilton? And I said, why? He said, do I really need to tell you? I said, okay. So he loves us enough that he wants to be part of us. Isn't it? That's the massive compliment.
Yeah.
Massive compliment.
No doubt.
Yeah. And here's a moment that was good for me. When I was in the clinic, my one boy Tyler, the day I was leaving, in fact, he arrived. He came from the UK, got on a plane, flew, came in and came to see me.
Yeah.
I remember I just burst out crying. Then you know that your kids love you, you know. I'm feeling emotional now, so carry on to the next one.
It's just quickly. All right. So yeah, lighthearted. If you had a superpower for a day, what would it be? What would you do with it?
I'd get up in the morning and say, I've got the superpower of everybody's emotions. Stop your shit. That'll be enough for me.
Yeah. Wow.
We argue, we moan, we complain, we go, man, that oak's got more than me. I wish, including me, you could rather just say, hey, well done, bro. Well done. Well done, bro. That's what my superpower would be.
Doesn't take anything.
All of
from
a
it.
sudden, we can just say, you know what? Please, man. We're all God's children. Just make it happen. Not that I'm religious or anything like that. It's just, why do you want to argue? I mean, I tried arguing, but it's no. I try and argue with Sandy. She just gives me the non-commitment, no return. Have you ever tried to argue with a brick wall?
Yeah.
You don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that Sandy's taught me that it's not. Life is too short, bro. Nobody is going to make it out of this shit. But in the meantime, why don't we enjoy each other's company?
100%. Could not have said that better. Yeah.
Well, you didn't, because I said
you. No, I know. Thank you. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, Barry. Genuinely, I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, comedians have a stage presence and or a persona, should I say? Better word for it.
I try my best, and I'm very blessed that what I do. I'm blessed what I am in my life now. It's still not the easiest thing, but it's not the worst thing, and I can still do it. And I know that the people around me truly love me. So there we go.
Yeah, nothing better.
And I truly love them. There we go.
All right, all right. Well,
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, again, thank you very much. And
Shaking hands.